Most likely you're here because you've decided you're tired of being here and you want to do something about it. Or you're looking in that direction, or you have a belief in that. Or you're just kind of mulling over, passing through. Well, either way, what you really need to do is set up your priorities and do one thing that most people will never do, and that's follow through. Follow through on what you decide you're going to do. Don't do it 50% or 25% or 35 or 75%. Follow through at 150 or 200%. Probably more than you've ever pushed forth or pushed forward in your life. Because if you don't at some point commit 100%, then everything for you will remain a dream, hope, a forecast, something that never is going to transpire because you haven't committed yourself to put forth that effort. And I tell people a lot of times is pick something. Now, whatever you choose could be down the line. You could say, well, maybe I shouldn't have picked that. But the point is that you did, that you followed through, that you actually did something. You followed through and succeeded in it. And if at that point you decide that you want to go in another direction, you can choose that. But you know now that you have the ability to make that choice and to follow through with it. You need to prove that to yourself. Because if you've got 50 directions that you want to go, chances are you'll never go in any one of them. You'll take bites of each one of them, and you'll just keep flip-flopping with ADHD, jumping from one to the other, and you'll never get anywhere in any of them. That's what most people do. They pick all these different subjects or scenarios or wherever paths they want to go. And they'll go a little bit on one, lose interest, or see a shiny object on another, and then they'll follow that one. Then they'll come back and they'll follow this one. And they never get anywhere. Because that's what the system wants you to do. It wants to keep you occupied in its web of deceit and false paths, or paths that are dead-end paths that lead nowhere. It keeps you occupied. It wastes your time because you've got all this time available. But when you look at it, it's really not a lot, because it seems like when you get older, time seems to pass by faster. So that's one commodity that we can't replace is time. You can't buy any more. You can't get any more. So you have to utilize your time in the best way that you can. And by jumping back and forth, you're going to get nowhere. Because people have all these questions. They've got all these questions they want to get covered. These answers. They want answers for everything. But if you whittle all your answers down to maybe one or two at the most, they're the important ones, then you will have a much higher chance of really getting an answer. But is the answer really what you want? Because have you taken the time to familiarize yourself with everything around a potential answer that you would get? If you got an answer, would you be able to understand it? Do you have enough data surrounding it to support your understanding of any answer that you're going to get? And that's another problem too. But whether it's an answer or it's a direction you want to go, if you don't commit, then it's not shit. It's really not. It doesn't mean shit. If you don't commit into something, then it doesn't matter how much you talk about it or how much you think about it. If you're not committing and trying to work towards that goal. Now, it could be a goal that you don't know how to get to the end result. But if you don't work towards it and working to understand how it would potentially work or thinking about it, it's not going to get you anywhere. The only way that you're going to begin that journey is by taking the first step. Even if it's in the wrong direction, even if you're going in the complete 180 degree away from what you want to do, you will at some point find your bearing, and you will get that way. You will go towards your goal. And sometimes you have a goal in mind and you are working towards it, and then something comes up and says, wow, oh wait, wow, this is way more interesting. But that goal or that path would not have opened itself up if you wouldn't have already been working towards something else. Now, I'm not saying every time you're working towards something you should just jump off and be distracted on everything. But what you have to understand is you will know whether it's something that's worthwhile or it's just a distraction. You have to make that determination. There's no perfect answers for anything. There's no perfect scenarios. You have to go by your gut and you have to think about it, and you have to weigh all the options. You always have to weigh the options no matter what you do, because there's always going to be different paths that happen to show up. But following through is always going to be your number one goal. Committing. Me telling you that it's all up to you can be an extremely heavy burden to someone who's not used to either committing or someone who looks at the big picture instead of focusing on a direction. If you try to forecast too much, if you try to think too hard, you're going to so easily talk yourself out of it. You're going to find every excuse not to follow through, and you're going to find every reason not to go forward. You can't overthink it. Doing and thinking are two different things. While you're going through the process, while you're doing, there will be thinking, but it's based upon what you are experiencing or what you're seeing ahead, or how you're going to interpret it, or how you're going to document it, or whatever. It's going to be related to your challenge at the time or your path. But don't overthink any of this stuff. Document it as you experience it, and at a later time you can go back and then you can make a determination based upon further experience of what you interpret that to be or mean. Don't try to understand or take everything apart while it's occurring. Try to focus more on the experience, what's happening around you, what you're seeing, the different things that are affecting you, how you got there, how best can you explain it to yourself. But when you get back, just write it all down, just as you remember it, just as a dream. And then down the line, like I said, make your definitions or your interpretations or your judgment calls on it. The only time that you really should make any judgment calls or whatever is if you're in a situation where you really need to make a determination because it affects you. Always be on the lookout for that. And when you're taking back energy, you're already on that mental plane of knowing what's ahead, understanding your situation, and being aware of what you can do, and your reaction will be much better. But there are a lot of different avenues from which to choose from. But unless you just jump in and do it, none of it will matter. All the thinking about it doesn't matter. All the overthinking is just going to create more drama and friction and resistance in your path.